This South Point 400 betting picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. It's Vegas, baby. Walter already in the chat saying it's Vegas. He's going to be there. Cody, I'm disappointed. I really wanted to get there, and I wanted to be there because I'm not that far away from Vegas. Unfortunately, I have military duty, so I cannot make it to this race this weekend, but we got to make it out for the spring, Cody. We have to make it out.
We need to, Rod. First of all, you said duty, which is always funny. Second of all, it's always nice when the show is hosted by Steve from Blues Clues. So shout out to you. Third of all, Vegas, baby. Walter's going to be there. I know our guy Brian's going to be there. Brian Twining. Pretty awesome. Laura checking in, says hola. Boji Joe checking in. We're going to talk about the Alex Bowman no appeal here in a few minutes. We got a lot to talk about today, Rod. I'll tell you that.
We do. Devontae Adams gets traded, and Mark. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's football. It's a busy news day. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
Oof, man, you want to talk about sports news? If you are a sports fan, you probably have not left your Twitter feed because there is nothing short of tons of stuff to digest over the course of the weekend. But yeah, we are here to talk Vegas. Of course, it is the South Point 400, and we will be discussing one of the last few races of the season. Man, we got what 6 to go.
You know, they used to just be in our doc, Rod. Now I think that people are actually reading my notepad that's sitting on the desk here.
You know,
calm down, JDK. I'm getting there.
This is what happens when you leave your camera on all day long. Like this is people are the live feed into Cody's room and he's watching all of the pads like notebooks down there. Look, we live in a world. Big Brother is watching, Cody. They're watching. And you're right.
It's no joke.
I do have to apologize. And first and foremost, I have to apologize for not saying happy Thanksgiving to all of my Canadian friends yesterday. All right. For all of you guys who listen to Canada, I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. I hope you had a great time celebrating the season. And I know you guys take season long like weeks, so you're probably still celebrating your Thanksgiving. But love the CFL on Canada Day or even Canada Day too, but Thanksgiving. So happy there.
Sheldon Creed, Stuart Friesen, lots of great things from Canada.
Lots of great Canadians out there as well. But yeah, so I want to also apologize for, I guess, putting Reddick as the cover guy. I got a little grief for putting Tyler Reddick as the cover guy for the episode, but we'll talk about him in a few. I'm not apologizing for that.
You're not apologizing after you apologized. Okay.
Yeah, well, I thought twice about it as I was apologizing. So
Cody Joe has accepted your apology.
except that I really didn't give him one. But listen, be like Boji Joe, get in on the conversation and join us in the chat because we always thank you for tuning into the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. We love each and every person that tunes into this show, whether it is live on YouTube, whether it is on the podcast feed. We most certainly appreciate all of your downloads. We would also appreciate a little bit of help along the way because we know that as much as we love bringing you this show, the bosses deal with numbers and they always want to see that you love the show as well. And the best way to do that, toss a 5-star review on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. make sure that you rate this show the highest rating that you feel like you want to give it, which I hope it's 5 stars, but if it's not, I understand. I don't like everything 1,000,000% that I do too. So, but if you like the show, like it for 5 stars. Help prevent corporate gambling, because only you can do it, folks, from taking over this scene. So we appreciate you. We love you. And Tyler Reddick's on the title card for a reason.
Yeah, he is, Rod. And if it's not 5, look, if you were taught the same way I was taught, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything. Let's go by those rules. Give us 5 stars or keep listening in spite, like we know some of you do.
All right, listen, man. Yeah, like Thumper says, you don't have
Shout out to the hate listeners. I know there's some people out there that like to talk their trash, but they're here every single show, and it's great. So there you go.
Well, like I said before, it's like Howard Stern. They listen to him because they want to know what he's going to say next, and they want to hate it. So you're just keeping us on the air. So if you don't like us, best way to do it is stop listening. But we'll still do it anyways. Doesn't matter. I love it. All right.
Cody. Can't get rid of us. All right, Rod. News. Lots and lots of news. Let's start with the Alex Bowman deal. Obviously, we talked a little bit about the recap show. The 48 car was penalized Sunday. They came in post-race. They were light, right? And so, but basically, yeah, they come on light. They have till Tuesday at 4, I think it was 4 p.m. Eastern time to file an appeal. Monday, rather, 4 p.m. Eastern time to file an appeal. It would have been an expedited appeal. It would have been heard today, and then given a chance for a second hearing Friday, so that it's all, done by Sunday. Since we're in the playoffs and it's obviously the changing of a round, everything changes. So what we do know is they decided not to appeal it, which is sort of an interesting. On one hand, it's like, why wouldn't you appeal it, right? Because what do you have to lose, right? And so there's been a lot of things out there. All the Twitter people are have their opinions. There's the video of him jumping the ramp, right? And then shit falling off of his car. First of all, shit falls off of cars all the time, right? So the way that the post-race weight works is it's like speeding on pit road, right? You hear somebody get caught speeding by 0.001, and you're like, really? Well, not really, because there's a 5 mile per hour buffer they already give you. So technically you're 5.001 miles over. So that's why there's no, once you get past the 5, you're over, right? In the weight, there's 17 pounds they give. That's a lot of weight, Rod. 17 pounds they give you of a buffer zone. And obviously the teams are going to take advantage of that and be as close to that 17 pounds as they can. They let them refuel the car. They let them put all the fluids back in the car, let them refuel the car again, let them do plenty of things to try and get there. And they couldn't get within that 17 pounds to make it legal. So, why wouldn't you appeal? You could clearly see a big chunk of something fall off, right? What is that? Is that one of the weights for the car? I don't know, but they chose not to appeal. And that brings out the conspiracy theorists, right? Like, what else are they hiding? You think they're hiding a lot. Like, they know the playoff cars are getting teched after the race. So it doesn't matter where he would have finished because he was going to get teched because he's moving on to the next round. So I don't know. It's hard to know what came off the car, if that was what the weight was. We cheated. We know we cheated, and we can't prove it was an accident. Basically, I think that's actually there you go. Thank you. All the words I just had, and you summed it up perfectly. That was it, right? They cut it too close. They couldn't get it back to the weight. And it's one of those things like, well, why wouldn't you appeal it? But what are they going to go in there? Their argument's going to be like, well, we know that's the weight, but something fell off the car. Maybe it weighed enough. Like, nobody knows how light they were, what that was, if they could prove what it was. Like, so I think it was just to the point of, look, we're not going to appeal. And how was the scale calibrated? Does it matter, Boji Joe? I mean, every other car passed on the scale, so that's not a really good argument either. You didn't have multiple cars failing. So that's where we're at. That's how it is. And so, yeah, the appeal was not heard. It's final. It's official. Joey Logano, the even year gods, Rod, have put Joey Logano on their back. They are carrying him to another Final Four appearance. He is, if you don't know, he has never missed a Final Four in an even year. Both of his championships came in even years. So, yeah, I think that's really the end of it is they're not appealing it. They obviously didn't feel like they had enough of a case to overturn it. Mistakes happen, right? Everybody's pushing the limits. Call it cheating if you want to. Every team out there is cheating, or if they're not, they should be cheating, and not blatantly cheating, right? Don't put a NOS pack on there and blow past everybody, but you push the limits, you challenge the rules, and you find the gray areas, and that's why racing is great, right? That's why teams are better than, that's what leads to the competition we have, is that and yeah, that's where we're at with that.
I've watched enough Breaking Bad to know that you should not be light on anything, right? Because if you're light on your shipment, if you're light on your deliveries, then you get shot. So the 48 team probably should have known that they shouldn't be light. And as for Joey Logano, yes, Game of Thrones has their drown gods, their all their 7 gods and everything like that. Joey Logano has the even year gods pulling in his favor. And yeah, I mean, look, I thought it was toast at the end of it as well. At the end of the race, but Joey Logano just can't. He won't die. What is dead may never die, and Joey Logano is reaping the benefits of it. But as for Alex Bowman, look, and I agree with all of you guys in the fact that this is an instance where there are smart folks, like I said, in that garage, and they probably realized that if you're given a 17-pound buffer, like it's like the military, you're given a little bit of a buffer to try to make weight. And if you can't make weight, then they'll tape you. And if you can't pass tape, then you're in trouble, right? So they give you all of this leeway, and walking into there, if you're going to pass tape or not, and you can't appeal that because you got to suck it in. You got to get your neck good and puffy, right? You've got to get your neck good and puffy. So there's a million things that you do to try to circumvent having to do that. And so if you know that you're wrong, and you go in there, you get taped and you fail tape, then you're caught. And you can't just go walk in there and go, yeah, I know, but something fell off of me, or I was holding extra weights. I don't know,
Well, and then, I mean, there's a lot of things, right? And they probably go into the race with the intention, with the 17-pound buffer, to be 16 and a half pounds light, right? Because you want to get every single advantage you can, and somebody miscalculated something somewhere. Somebody took off an extra something they shouldn't have taken off from, because they tech them on Saturday. Then you go through practice, you go through qualifying, things are getting changed, things are getting moved. They're pulling some of that weight off. Somebody pulled off too much weight. I mean, mistakes happen, right? We've seen a massive one with Denny Hamlin, the engine deal earlier this year, right? Somebody just fucking messed up. Like, that happens. Probably what happened here, somebody took something off the car they shouldn't have. And hey, the rules are the rules. They weren't within the rules. They weren't within the buffer zone. They couldn't prove it otherwise. And unfortunately, Bowman's end, or his run comes to an end. But who knows, Rod? He might still be worth betting on. He's somebody we'll be talking about today. There is a story that's broken as of yesterday, Rod, from, I think Jenna Fryer was the one I saw it from, but NASCAR is aware of allegations of a team engineer who stole intellectual property to give to a rival team. So according to the rumors, none of this is confirmed, but there's a Joe Gibbs Racing engineer who is looking at potentially leaving. His contract's up after this year. He's been meeting with other teams, and the belief is that RCR paid him in cash, or somebody from RCR paid him in cash to give him intellectual property, something that should not have been given to them. Obviously, there's a lot of things out there, right? SMT is public for the teams. A lot of things that can be shared. And when you get a crew chief that's leaving, like a Rodney Childers, right, he's going to take information with him that he's learned over the years. Yes, but there are certain things that are intellectual property of the team that you're on, you can't take with you. This could very quickly escalate to a federal investigation. We just saw this in IndyCar. A team, a member that is now at Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan, has stolen some intellectual property from another team. They raided the entire RLL shop, took away cell phones, computers, all sorts of stuff. I mean, that is potentially where this could go. So no like official allegations. It's all still bubbling under the surface right now, but that's probably something that's going to come out soon. I don't think that really affects any on-track performance or anything like that. It'll just be sort of a big drama behind the scenes, I guess, that kind of is out there, I guess, for us to know about now.
So I guess the lesson here is I plan to start shopping around intellectual secrets from this show to other shows, right? That's what I should be doing. Is that how you get ahead? I don't know. I don't necessarily care.
I don't know that our secrets are that good, Rod. There might not be any secrets. Maybe that's the problem.
That's exactly it. We are way too outright and forth for everybody to have it. But yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we'll keep an eye on this story as it unfolds. Obviously, who knows what that impacts in the garage. Obviously, you can't keep secrets, so don't tell that person secrets anymore, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to pay attention to. All right, Cody, on to Vegas. Should we get on to Vegas?
We got 2 more stories, but I don't know how much time we have for stories before we hit a break.
Well, we got to
hit. It can be quick stories.
We got to hit a break now.
Okay, hit the break. We'll do the last 2 stories and then on to Vegas.
Okay, on to Vegas and the stories and the break. Here we go. Oh, that's the wrong button. See, I got all thrown off. Underdog Fantasy, let's tell you about them. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports. You get NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR, Formula One, and so much more. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boosts, and you can also use specials and boosts on all flex entries. We're going to give you a ton of our favorite underdog plays, as we always do in the DFS episode, so make sure that you stay tuned for that one as well. In the meantime, you can sign up with our promo code Race SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code Race SGPN. All right, Cody.
All right, Rod. The other 2 stories quickly. Hailie Deegan leaving the stock car world, the NASCAR world. She's going to go to Indy, compete in the Indy NXT, which is essentially the Indy Xfinity series with HMD Motorsports. So she's going to move over to the open wheel side of things. Try her luck over there. Of course, we wish her the best of luck there. And maybe it'll make Indy NXT worth keeping an eye on a little bit more.
I agree. In fact, I'm pretty excited about that because, it's not like we didn't like Hailie Deegan. And again, goes back to that argument that we made on the recap show. Just because we don't think a driver is going to perform well in a given week or a given season doesn't mean that we don't like the driver. We don't think there's talent and there's something there, right? I mean, it's just, we read what's in front of us and sometimes it's just not good. So, hopefully that pans out for all the best, Hailie. We'll watch you on Indy.
Exactly. And then, Rod, RFK has an announcement, 10/16, 12 o'clock p.m. That, of course, would be tomorrow, Wednesday, depending on when you're listening to this. It's just a silhouette of a car in black. Could be any number of things. Likely, it is the announcement for the 3rd charter. The rumor is Ryan Preece will be the one that gets that charter. It's going to be all tied in with the Kroger sponsorship leaving JTG, coming over to RFK for the 3rd car. And it sounds like Preece is going to be the guy for that. I'm still holding out hope for Zane Smith. He filled in for Brad a few years ago when Brad, actually, I think he filled in for Brad and Chris when they both missed for COVID-related things. And he's a former Ford driver that's just out there still waiting for a job. But I think it is going to be Ryan Preece. Again, I think that it could be argued that maybe he doesn't necessarily deserve that ride, but whatever.
Hey, listen, I can't second guess anybody because there's a lot of people that said I don't deserve this seat. So, whether or not they drive it or not. And here's the thing about it too. They've done their homework. They know. I mean, they know which drivers are capable of what, right? And so you're going to take a chance. I do think Zane Smith deserves a much bigger opportunity than he's got now, but
there's so many.
All you got to do is just
number of guys you could list off.
I know
that would be better for that ride. What does Ryan Preece bring? And
money.
But he doesn't. He doesn't have any money or sponsorships that follow him. That's why he's in the Haas car, Rod.
True.
Because nobody sponsors the guy. Now he's part of the Kevin Harvick, Kevin Harvick Incorporated, right? He's a KHI driver. That's always big because they do have a lot of relationships. And he's got the former relationship with Kroger. He drove the 37 car for a while back when they had 2 cars at JTG, had the Kroger sponsorship there. Seems like that's sort of coming back around full circle as they are going to move from JTG over to RFK.
Indeed. Andrew weighing
Yes,
in.
I said it at the beginning of the show, Andrew. I know you tuned in just a little bit late, but I did thank Steve from Blues Clues for co-hosting with me today. I love the look, Rod. I think you pull it off great.
So I think this is the second time I've heard this. So this will be my my Halloween costume. I will just fully embrace Blues Clues, or we just make it Rod's Clues. Rod's Clues. We're looking for Rod's Clues. And then that'll be how,
get a jingle done for that.
that's
That
how
would be
I'll
great.
get my picks by Rod's
All
Clues.
right, Rod. On to Las Vegas. Do you want the entry list or do you want to set up the race first?
Let me set up the race and then you give the entry list. It is Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in beautiful, sunny, and glittery and all that, Las Vegas, Nevada. We are set for 267 laps around this 1.500 mile paved track for 400.500 miles. Cookie cutter Las Vegas track, mile and a half. We know it. We love it. We love the city too.
Yes, Las Vegas, not much better place to go, Rod. Mile and a half race, right? This is going to be Kansas is the comp track to Las Vegas. We were there a couple weeks ago. Great racing. We've seen what the mile and a half have been as of late. And yeah, here we go. So, Rod, 37 entries for the Cup Series at Las Vegas. Cody Ware is back in the 15. SVG is back in the 16. And plug your ears, Rod. Jimmy Johnson is back in the number 18 car. Don't tell Rod anybody because we don't want to go through Rod trying to bet on him again. The only bet I would take on Jimmy Johnson this week is to be involved in an incident under 1.5 laps into the race because that's likely when it'll happen.
It's just heartbreaking. And
I think I saw Ryan at iFantasy Race who like had tweeted out some stats about Jimmy's time at Legacy, and it was like he's trying to find out who to compare it to, like Richard Petty, Darrell Waltrip. Like, you might not remember, those are great drivers in their prime and everything, but at the end of their careers, they were just in like total shit boxes and sucked, basically. And that's what Jimmy's doing at this point. And then I think he said he's only had one incident-free race in every start with the Legacy, which is just sort of interesting.
No, Laura, it's okay. I am not talking, just for all the record, I am not talking about Jimmy Johnson this week.
I threatened to quit the show if Rod gave out a Jimmy Johnson bet this week. I love Jimmy Johnson. Greatest driver of all time. I would believe that. But yeah, we're not trying to bet on him here.
No. My brother says that if you guys make it to Vegas next year, Rod, I'm hiding in your suitcase. I can need a camera operator. No offense, Rod, Laura. I know, Laura. It's fine. Look, he's my favorite driver in the world, but there's no way I can bring him up this week. I can't talk about him. I won't even try to watch him. That's all.
Corey, going back to Ryan Priest. Priest is underrated. An aggressive driver, took one of the biggest air spins ever, got right back at it. Yeah, I mean, he had the double black eyes and everything from that wreck at, I think that was at Daytona. But Priest, he's interesting because like he pops up and like even looking through the Las Vegas stats, like he's got some decent finishes here. He just is super inconsistent, and like short tracks, you sort of expect him a little more, right? And sometimes he pops up, sometimes he doesn't. I don't know. I just would have liked to see more out of him. We've seen him go back to the trucks and the Xfinity and tear it up, right? And so you're like, okay, maybe he does deserve it, but then he comes to the Cup Series and it's just like, meh. I don't know.
Look, I can own a playground of 8th graders in basketball, okay, but I can't go up to the NBA and hang with the Lakers. So that's all I'm saying. All right, Cody, let's get to some bets, shall we? Before I go find that playground of 8th graders to go whoop up on a dunk on their small nets. Cody, where are we starting?
Let's do that. Well, Rod, before we get into the bets, I did want to address the Jeff Gluck good race poll. You know, we talked about how much we liked the race last year. And here's where we're at with the good race poll, right? Or last week, rather. Was the Roval a good race? 55% yes, 45% no. If you voted no, like again, what did you want out of that race? I don't really understand. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I think maybe I've figured out the problem, Rod. And I think that you giving out your shitbox special last week was very helpful. Eric Jones and Kaz Gralla bumping fenders, going at it, like ended up paying out at the end of the day, right? Kaz Gralla cashed a ticket for us. I think if more people bet on these shitbox specials, they'll be happier with the race because it keeps you entertained, and then we'll get the poll up. So this is our official effort and push to improve the Jeff Gluck poll going forward, Rod. And that being said, I'm going to start with a shitbox special of my own. This is a group bet, not a matchup that was really a shitbox special I could give out. So going to the group bets all the way down to Group G over on Caesars, Rod. This is a shitbox special. Like I said, it is Harrison Burton. It is John Hunter Nemechek. It's SVG. No offense, SVG, but it's SVG. And it's Corey LaJoie, Rod. And I know you guys thought you might have been safe from the Corey LaJoy bets, but you're not, because we're going to take Corey LaJoy. That's right. Rod has his updated picture. I still got the old picture, but that's okay. Corey LaJoy, Rod, I'm going to take him. He is plus 250 to win this group. So going through the group, I think that you could sort of make a case for just about everybody in the group, maybe except for John Nemechek. Although, so just going through them, John Nemechek has had 4 races in a row where he's finished 30th or worse. He's not on a good stretch currently. 30th at Kansas, 29th at Michigan, 30th at Charlotte. Those are the last 3 1.5 mile intermediates that we've had. So not good there. He was 13th at Kansas in the spring, 22nd at Las Vegas, and 22nd could easily win this group. I don't think that that's really reaching too far for sure. So that's the case for Nemechek, but he's the one I definitely like the least. Burton, 23rd at Kansas was decent. He was actually 14th at Michigan, a really good run there. 32nd at Charlotte, 36th at Kansas, 30th here in the spring. So really, and it's Harrison Burton. Like, how much do we trust Harrison Burton? Not much at all, right? SVG, we don't have a big sample size, right? Yeah, he's the favorite going into last week. It's a road course, the oval, like throw that out because this is completely different, right? So he's got to start at Charlotte earlier this season in the 600, 28th place finish there. That's an okay run, right? But 26th at Darlington, those are really the only 2 races we have to look at. You go and you look, he wrecked here in the spring at Xfinity, but that was very early into his oval career, really. He did finish 8th at Kansas, 15th at Charlotte in the Xfinity Series. 8th is a decent finish, 15th in Xfinity, not as good as where he should be in that car. But, I mean, we've talked about him a lot, right? He's improving on the ovals and getting there, but he's not an oval guy yet. For LaJoy, it's very up and down as well. You can definitely make cases for or against him. He did finish 32nd here in the spring. Not a good run, but his 4 previous starts at Las Vegas, 19th, 20th, 24th, and 15th. So pretty good, solid finishes from LaJoy in those. A couple of weeks ago, Rod, Kansas was his first race in the Rick Ware car. Of course, he's changed from the 7 car into the Rick Ware car. Finished 15th in his first start at Rick Ware Racing in that. And so that, I think, gives me a lot of hope in this bet. And, like, if you listen to him on his podcast, it's almost like he's got a new lease on life, right? Like, maybe, and we've all been there, right? You're in a job forever. Things aren't going great. It's probably getting to the end. It's the same old, same old. Well, then all of a sudden he gets traded, and it was like he kind of perked up, and he's like, oh, I need to do this. And he's looking at things differently because they do things differently. And it sort of has breathed some life back into him. I like that out of LaJoy. So 15th here in that one. You go back and you look at Haley in this car, a couple of other races this season, 20th at Michigan, 18th at Kansas, 20th here in the spring. All good finishes. Of course, it's a completely different driver, but it is the car. The car's capable of doing it, right? So you have to kind of factor that in. So all that being said, I think really flip a coin and take anybody you want to in this group, maybe outside of Nemechek. But, of course, my coin's going to land on the LaJoy side almost every time, Rod. Give me Corey LaJoy to win Group G at Caesars. Rod, if you pay attention to the leaderboard on these 4 names throughout this race, at the end of the day, I don't think you'll be able to vote no in the Jeff Gluck poll. Therefore, we will be able to alleviate the problem of thinking that it's a bad race.
I agree with you on that aspect of it. I'm going to take this coin and I'm going to put Corey LaJoy's face on it, and I want to see how many times it winds up being Corey LaJoy's face on that one as well. All right. I mean, yeah, look, we got to have more to pay attention to. I guess paying attention to Corey LaJoy down there at the bottom of the list will, maybe he gets a top 20 finish. Maybe a lap down car can win this race like Boji Joe, or win the group like Boji Joe says. But
you could probably be 3 laps down to win this. I mean, there's potential for that. One of these guys might sneak in a top 20. I mean, that's like really what we're looking at. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if 26th place wins this group. Like, that wouldn't be super shocking. And again, I think that's part of something like we need to sort of remind ourselves. We had the conversation on the recap show. If you didn't listen on Sunday evening, like, we're here to have fun, right? And stuff like this is fun because you're going to place this bet because you're a degen and it's fun, and you're going to be watching and you're going to be like, fuck, why is Harrison Burton having such a good day? And then all of a sudden, Harrison Burton's name's going to drop down the list, and you're going to be like, oh, we're still alive, baby. And it's going to make it more fun. That's what we're here for, Rod. That's why we're betting on this.
You got it. Sometimes you got to create your own fun. That's really what they're all is to it. The life is about creating your own fun. And I think this is the type of way to do it. So I'll back you on this one. All right. I'll come back with my first bet of the day. But first, let me tell you about Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You can build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and parlay and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. You can claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. We are brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the business. Bet with the best in the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. U.S. players, as always, you are welcome. You can sign up right now, deposit $100. You got a chance to win a 160. How about a 1960 Ford Mustang? I'm getting all excited with numbers, but I want that Mustang, which is why I'm kind of throwing you off the scent. We're going to give you plenty of our favorite BetUS bets throughout the course of the show, so hang tight for those. In the meantime, though, sign up with our link and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book.
Going back to TK's comment real quick, Rod. Since you're not betting on Jimmy, will this be his best result in the next gen? We can only hope. That is a very low bar, so luckily there is potentially the case for that. And that is the hope, Rod. We don't touch him, and he has a good day. That's like best case scenario. That'd be better than cashing a bet on him, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'll take seeing him on camera for more than 15 seconds. Like, I'd like to see that Carvana car. It's a nice looking car. It just never is on the screen very long.
I think he's like the Family Dollar Tree car now. I think Carvana's gone, Rod.
That's all right. I don't care. Whatever it is, I want to see it more.
I'll check the entry list so he can give an official plug to his sponsor, which is Dollar Tree /Family Dollar. So shout out to them.
I'll actually go buy something from the Family Tree /Dollar Tree.
I spend way too much money at the Dollar Tree. We have one, unfortunately, right outside of our neighborhood. And both my wife and daughter think that because everything's $1.25, we can just buy everything in the store all the time.
And you can, because that's the great part about it.
$300 later.
That's how they make their money in bulk. All right. Speaking of bulk, this one's going to be bulky gross for you, but that's all right. It's not quite a shit box, but it's definitely a, like, hold your nose and bet this one. It's Kyle Busch. It's Martin Truex Jr., 2 retired drivers that are not retired and driving on the same track. I'm taking the Kyle Busch side of this.
Remember our conversation about not betting on Kyle Busch?
Yeah, and I broke that commandment right away because I just looked at this.
First bet of the show. Come on, bro.
I took a look at this. I looked at all the matchups and I said, of all the matchups, this is the one that I feel the strongest about, and that's Kyle Busch. Because here's the thing, he doesn't have to win this race. Okay, that's everybody wants him to win his home track. I get it. That's fine. That's fun. But he doesn't have to win this race because for Martin Truex Jr., I mean, the dude, he's had some good finishes, right? He finished 3rd at Kansas, 11th at Talladega, but 21st at the Roval, 24th at Bristol, 20th at Watkins Glen, 35th at Atlanta, 36th at Darlington. I mean, those are just his recent finishes here. Granted, he's run well, and Cody's going to talk about how glowingly Martin Truex Jr. has done in Las Vegas over the last 4 or 5 years, right? 4 or 5 seasons even. I go back even farther than that to 2017. He's done very well for himself. I'll let Cody lay out all the stats. I won't stomp on his grapes, but I will say that, dude, this is the ghost of Martin Truex Jr. I ever since his 8th place at Pocono, it's been 27th at Indy, 37th at Richmond, 24th at Michigan, 24th at Daytona, 36th at Darlington, 35th in Atlanta, and I already read you off the last one since Watkins Glen. I mean, yeah, the 19 car can jump up and do well here, and that's all fine and well, but come on, man. Like, he hasn't had anything to drive for the last part of this season. His finishes have been so inconsistent. I mean, I can't say much more about Kyle Busch. He's not necessarily been all that good lately either, right? 13th at the Roval, 19th at Talladega, 19th at Kansas, 25th at Bristol, 30th at the Glen, but 7th in Atlanta, 2nd at Darlington, 2nd at Daytona, 4th at Michigan. I will buy this much into his home track because at Vegas, he has still been good, right? 26th in the spring. Okay, but Kyle Busch has sucked this season. So you got to kind of, just take that for what it's worth. But 3rd, 14th, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 3rd, 6th, 15th, 19th, 3rd, 7th, 2nd. Like, he's got a win. And it's crazy enough, he's only got one win on his home track in the Cup Series, and that came back in 2009. But 15 top 10 finishes in 26 starts, 12 top 5s. He's finishing in the top 5 46.2% of his starts. So
here's a quick fun, not to interrupt too much, but quick fun fact for you, Rod. That 2009 win by Kyle Busch, according to iFantasy Race, the only time the pole sitter has won at Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He did start in the pole and win that race. That's crazy. So, look, I'm not saying he's going to win this race. I'm going to make a little bit more of a case for him later on in the show, too, to finish somewhere closer to the top. But, again, those are only two different ways to get in on Kyle. What was it yesterday in F1? I'm taking guys that have barely done it, not necessarily, but just that close to doing it, I guess, and giving the benefit of the doubt this week. And I'm kind of carrying that over into NASCAR. So, yeah, but give me Kyle Busch for sure over Martin Truex Jr. Like I said, I know he's done well on this track historically, but I don't know. Jessica says, right, I'm 100%. He's just ready to retire. He's just logging laps at this point. There's nothing more he can accomplish in the last 4 races of the season that's not, that's going to boost anything for him.
Rod, I've been saying about Martin Truex Jr. for a long time. He's retired. He's done. It's over. That's it. We're done betting him. But Rod, you're wrong. This is a Martin Truex Jr. race, and I am on Martin Truex Jr. this week as my next bets. Give me Martin Truex Jr. top 10, minus 125, top finishing Toyota, plus 550. Rod, I learned my lesson a few weeks ago at Kansas. Martin Truex Jr. is retired. He is not good. He's done. He's looking forward to retirement. He is out of it, but not at 1.5 mile tracks. He has been on fucking fire this season, and he just proved it at Kansas. He had not had a top 5 finish since Kansas in the spring, and we go through this entire summer, entire fall. He sucks. Everything's horrible. He comes to Kansas. We bet against him. Top 5 finish again. He gets it done. He just finished 3rd at Kansas. 24th at Michigan wasn't great. 10th at Charlotte was at least close to the top 10. 4th at Kansas in the spring. 7th here in the spring as well, Rod. The reason that I like the top 10 more than the top 5, minus 125, 8 top 10 finishes in a row at Las Vegas for Martin Truex Jr. Very consistent. 13 of the last 14, 16 of the last 20, he has been inside of the top 10. He is second in average finish on 1.5 mile tracks, second in average finish. Yes, at 1.5 mile tracks this season, according to iFantasy Race. Second in average speed in the next-gen car at Las Vegas, according to iFantasy Race as well. This is a Martin Truex Jr. week, Rod. This is probably the last one. This is probably the final time we're going to bet on him until we're getting Xfinity Series opportunities, which is going to be great. I cannot wait for that. But this is the week. I love this top 10 number at minus 125. I would get this sooner rather than later because I think as people look at the numbers, realize how good he's been, not only at Las Vegas, but at this track, but at the 1.5 mile tracks this season. I think that this number is going to disappear. As far as the top Toyota number goes, Toyota's not going to be easy this week, right? I have a case to make for multiple Toyotas later on in the show, but we know how it goes, right? Enough things can go wrong. If he's already going to be in the top 10, if he's got some upside, Martin Truex Jr. could steal this. I think plus 550, a good number when, again, there's only a handful of Toyotas. I know Jimmy Johnson's in this race in a Toyota, but only a handful of Toyotas that can actually get the top finishing Toyota, Rod. So I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm off Kyle Busch. I said it. I'm going to be off Kyle Busch this week. If he wins this race, I will be happy. I would love to see the streak continue. Not going to bet on him. I'm staying away. Give me the Martin Truex Jr. side of your head-to-head. I'm going to disagree with you there. Give me the top 10 at minus 125. Top Toyota, plus 550. This is the chance. This is the time to bet on Martin Truex.
My clues lead me elsewhere in that one, so I'm definitely following my clues with my little paw print, and I will take my side of it and go against the Truex. All right. My next bet is going to be Ross Chastain. Look, I'm taking him as a top 10. He's even money on BetUS. He's plus 100 on BetUS. That's the best number that you can get for a Ross Chastain top 10 out there. The reason that I'm not bumping this up, because BetUS also has this at plus 300, I'm just a little nervous. I'm just a little nervous about his overall potential for a top 5. So I'll just kind of hedge with the top 10. If you want to take top 3, I can't blame you at that at all. Or top 5, rather. I can't blame you at all, because Ross Chastain, since he's been in this one car, a 3rd place in the spring of 2022, a 2nd place in the fall of 2022, did have a 12th place finish in the spring of 2023, but followed it up with a 5th place in the fall and then a 4th place earlier in the spring. How has Ross Chastain done at intermediate tracks? Oh, he just won at Kansas. So that's a good feather in his cap. He finished 5th at Darlington, which, we know is not necessarily comparable, but it's there. Nashville, he had a bad day at 33rd, but 8th at Charlotte, right at top 10. 11th place at Darlington earlier this year. 19th place at Kansas earlier before, but a 4th place finish here in Kansas, like I said, in the fall of, or in the spring rather, of this year. So he's done well at these mile and a halves, right? I mean, Ross Chastain hasn't been tearing it up as of late, but there's a pep in that step in the one car, and he's on a track that he definitely runs well at. He's running well at these mile and a halves. So, like I said, a top 10 at even money is I think is a good bet overall. But if you want to jump that top 5, 3-1 is intriguing. But then, the thing about it is that you look at some of these other finishes from this season, right? He did have a 5th place at Richmond, which is kind of encouraging. Like I said, that 5th place at Darlington, he won at Kansas. But then, like, the thing is I know Talladega is a super speedway and you got to throw it out, but a 40th place finish there, that's bad luck. A 28th place at the Roval, that was bad luck again. 33rd at Nashville earlier this year. Like, for Ross Chastain, that's why I don't want to go full all in on the top 5, because something can happen and he can get shuffled out of that top 5 quite easily. And then he's just reduced to a top 10 finish. I mean, he's only got 6 top 5 finishes in 32 races this season, but he's got 12 top 10s. His average finish 14.7, which means to me, it's easier for him to make up 5 spots than it is to make up 10 spots to get him in the top 5 if something happens to him early in the race. So I just feel like I said, to me, I want the top 5 because I feel like that's such a great price at 3-1 for him, for the fact that he's done it just about every single season that he's been on this track. But then again, it's too much for me to bite. And I think even money for a top 10 is probably the safest way to go.
Again, the most recent mile and a half winner at Kansas, which again is basically the sibling to Las Vegas. It's the closest comp you're going to get at an even money price for a top 10. I like that. Actually, like more on Chastain, which I'll talk about in a bit. Rod, next up for me, Boji Joe, by the way, asking Group C, Ross over MTJ, KB, and Joey at plus 300. Rod already made a positive case for Kyle Busch. I made a positive case for MTJ. Does anybody want to bet against Joey Logano in the even year racing gods right now? I don't, Rod.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, but I see that's the thing. Like, Joey Logano, he was such a tough guy. I had him in the dock for a second.
So I have something I'm going to bring up about Joey here in the next box after this one, Rod. So we'll get there. All right, top 10s for me. I'm going to go with a couple of top 10s here. Alex Bowman plus 140 for a top 10. Look, this is the pissed off narrative, right? Like, Alex Bowman has done everything right, Rod. The rumors, Justin Haley gets signed by Hendrick. They're coming after his job. He's going to get replaced. He has to call his bosses and ask if he still has a job, all this stuff, right? Then he goes out and just kills the first two rounds of the playoffs, checks off every box, 4th most points earned throughout the playoffs to this point, like, does everything right. And then completely out of his control, out of his hands, probably had no idea, gets disqualified for his car being too light and is bounced from the playoffs. So pissed off narrative for Alex Bowman. Hello, right? You like that. He was 18th here in the spring, so not quite in the top 10, but 3rd place in the spring of 23. He won a race here in 2022. He was 6th place at Kansas recently, 9th place at Charlotte, 7th at the first Kansas race. I like Alex Bowman this week. Been pretty consistent. Like, he's been probably the most consistent guy throughout the playoffs thus far. Now he's eliminated, yet not really of his own doing. And so I think that he's going to continue to keep that consistency up, keep that momentum up. Sure, the stat sheet says he finished 38th last week, but we all saw it, right? He won a stage. He had a good finish, great run. And I think that's going to continue for Alex Bowman. Plus 140 for his top 10. This is just going back to, earlier this season when we were getting him at this number and just consistently hitting him, doing it again. Give me Alex Bowman top 10. Then Rod, Noah Gragson, top 10. We'll go all the way back up the comments. There's a lot of comments today. Appreciate you guys. Love it. JDK said it. He was reading my notebook. Noah Gragson, top 10 plus 450. Doesn't have to run test setups for Briscoe anymore. Literally, I wrote it's. You probably can't see it because my handwriting's bad. It is right here on the list, Rod. It's a home race for him. So the home race narrative, right? He's a Las Vegas kid, just like Kyle Busch is. Doesn't have to mirror Briscoe setups because Briscoe is eliminated. We knew he was running the other setup that they wanted to test, that they wanted to see from Chase Briscoe because they were trying to help him advance through, right? He's the most similar driver. He's the one who could test it out the best. So he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. 6th place here in the spring, which, again, that's inside the top 10, right? He has 3 starts here. The second start was not great, but his first start, 11th place in 2022. He was filling in the 48 car for Alex Bowman. Good, solid run for him there. So top 11, 2 of his 3 starts. You like that. He was 18th at Kansas a couple of weeks ago, not too far out of the top 10. 12th at Michigan. Again, that's a pretty similar comp track as well. 9th in the first Kansas, 6th here in the spring as well. I think at this number, plus 450 for a top 10 is Noah Gragson, rather. I like, and then the plus 140 for Alex Bowman for the top 10 as well.
Yeah, home track for Gragson too. This is his Las Vegas home, and you got to love it for him. I know he always loves to show out, so maybe him and Kyle Busch can be the brothers Vegas this weekend and kill it. And maybe Kurt Busch is hiding behind Gragson this week and can do it too.
There you go. Jake checking in. First time I've seen Jake. Welcome to the show, Jake. Says Bowman not appealing the DQ is ridiculous. Like all the Hendrick cars weren't the same. NASCAR just wanted another Ford in there, so they elevated Joey. Usually the conspiracy people are all about how Hendrick owns everything, and it's been a tough week for them. I don't think that was the case. We talked about it earlier. Look, they were probably trying to push the limits too far, went a little far, and keep in mind too, which we didn't touch on, Blake Harris, his crew chief, is basically known for pushing like that, and it's probably one of the reasons he got a job at Hendrick, because he's known for pushing the envelope as far as he possibly can. Push a little too far, but they're still going to have something to prove, even though they're eliminated, and I think that's going to show up at least in the form of a top 10 this weekend.
Yeah, and it's not as if this is Rick Ware getting smacked in the face. This is Hendrick. They're going to come back with a top 10 car. It's not even a question. I definitely agree with you on that one. All right, let's turn our attention to the Toyota camp, and I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick, cover boy. Wake up, Boji Joe. I'm talking about Tyler Reddick. I'm taking him as a top 5 car at plus 160 over on BetUS. Tyler Reddick is the 4th ranked driver in terms of high-speed intermediate track 2024 total speed rankings heat chart, according to our friends over at iFantasy Race. He was the second fastest on the chart in Vegas earlier this year. He was the 1st at Texas, 13th at Kansas, 9th at Charlotte, 4th at Michigan, and 12th at 2nd Kansas overall. But Tyler Reddick on this particular track, I'm taking him as a top 5. Go back to this spring where he started 18th, right, and finished in 2nd place. The regular season champion right there put together a hell of a run to get up there. Later in the 2023 season in the fall, he finished 8th place here, not too far out of 5th place. He did 6th place finish in 2022 in the fall, 7th, 6th since joining that 8 team in the 45. My argument really comes from the heels of the fact that he's been so damn good for so damn long this season. Obviously, winning the regular season championship is an achievement in and of itself. So you got to run consistently well all season long to get it there. So I'm high on him for that. And I just think that at plus 160 for a top 5, he's going to be competing for a top 5 spot. He's going to probably end up competing for the win. I'll talk about that in a second. But you gotta just tip your cap to Reddick. He did finish 3rd at Nashville earlier this season, 4th at the Roval. So a couple of top 5 finishes there. 25th at Kansas, that was not a good day at all, right? That was a terrible day for them there. 10th at Darlington. And then he finished 4th at Texas in 2024, 2nd at Vegas, 3rd at Homestead in 2023, 8th at Vegas the year before. He won Kansas in 2023, finished 2nd at Darlington, 5th at Charlotte in 2023 as well. There is a lot of great finishes for Tyler Reddick on mile-and-a-half tracks particularly. So for Tyler Reddick, I mean, it almost feels like you don't have to make a case for Tyler Reddick to finish top 5 because he's going to do it himself. But plus 160, I felt like was a really good price, especially because the books are giving Larson so much respect this season, or this season, but this week in general, that it's almost a little gross. So I'm going to take Reddick. I'm going to take the regular season champion as a top 5 car at plus 160. And, you can bump it up to a top 3 if you want, but I'm voting for him to get in the top 5. And then later on, I'll tell you something, another bet to make. That's a good number.
Yeah, I have no argument against. You know how much I love Reddick. I wanted to be on him this week. Kansas scared me so much. They were fucking horrible. But you go back to Michigan just a few weeks before, and he won that race. And you go back to Vegas in the spring, and he finished in 2nd place. Like, I don't know. I couldn't find a spot to land on Reddick, but I think at the top 5 number at plus 160 is a good spot to land. Speaking of guys I couldn't find a number to land on, Rod, this is where I'm going to put this in the chat's hand right here, because you mentioned it already. Joey Logano, you wanted to find a way to bet on him, and so did I, Rod. But I don't know how to bet on Joey Logano. I couldn't figure out how I want to bet on Joey Logano. So it's up to the chat. You guys are going to have to give us your ideas and let us know what bets you like best on Joey Logano. I'm seeing the top 10 number for Joey's minus 150. That's pretty juicy. And that's rough, right? So top 5's only plus 250. Do we like that? Are we liking the top 3 at plus 450? Do we like his outright at 14-1? Is there a group or a head-to-head you see that you like? So the thing with Joey Logano and why I think we need to be on him, because clearly the even year racing gods are on Joey Logano's side. I don't know about you, Rod. I'm not huge into, the religious aspects of things, but the racing gods, you've got to be careful going against them. And I think they seem to clearly be on Joey's side here. He did win this race in 2022 in the fall, Rod, which, again, we probably should have mentioned this at the top of the show. If you win this race and you're one of these 8 playoff drivers, you're locked into Phoenix and you can begin to work on your Phoenix setup and your Phoenix run. Doesn't matter what happens over the next 2 weeks. It is going to be important to win this race. But he won this race in 2022. He's been pretty good here. He's got, 3 wins in the last 11 races here. I don't know. But we need a Joey Logano bet. So give us your thoughts, and I'm going to go to the other bet I have in this box. Then we'll come back to that because I don't want to not be on Joey Logano this week, Rod. Somebody else I don't want to not be on. Rod's favorite driver as of late, Tyrone Gibbs, top 5 at plus 300. If you're listening on the podcast, Rod just took his headphones off. He walked away off the screen, and that is fine because Rod has continued to tell us time and time again that it's a sophomore slump, it's a rough year, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, Rod, much like his teammate Martin Truex Jr., you know where it's not a sophomore slump? On the mile-and-a-half tracks. We might be on to something here with these Gibbs cars on mile-and-a-half tracks, right? I'm just going to say that before we continue getting the rest of this stuff here. But finished 5th place here in the spring. That is inside the top 5 last time I checked. Kansas a couple of weeks ago. I know it's been rough lately, Rod. I know he's not had a lot of finishes. I know things keep going wrong. But he finished 5th place at Kansas a couple of weeks ago. What about a couple of weeks before that at Michigan? He finished in 3rd place. What about Charlotte a couple of weeks before that? He finished in 6th place right there. He was 2nd place at Darlington in the spring, if you want to toss in another almost intermediate track. 13th place at Texas was a decent run back in the spring as well. Ty Gibbs has been strong on the mile-and-a-halves. He's been strong at the comp tracks. I also have some notes here from my fantasy race, if I could pull them back up quickly, because I wanted to read this. This year, at high-speed mile-and-a-halves, Ty Gibbs has the 2nd best track type total speed ranking and a 7.3 average finish, minus Kansas 1, where his evening went south late. 5th at Kansas a couple of weeks ago, 3rd best in total speed rankings. This spring at Las Vegas, he finished 5th, and that was despite the uncontrolled tire penalty earlier in the race, Rod. Might be a sophomore slump, whatever you want to call it. You know how much of Ty Gibbs, and he's been really, really strong at the fast intermediate tracks. That's where we're at this week. And so, yeah, I like Ty Gibbs' number at 3-1. Ty Gibbs is going to make Laura's fantasy team this Sunday, so I like that. TK says Gibbs has nearly as many car issues as Truex. Both had issues with the Roval. JGR may focus more on Hamlin as Bell as well. I think it's going to be fun. I'm not too worried about it. Boji Joe likes Ty Gibbs for the pole, says to get him early. All right, Joey, we have a few submissions on Joey Logano here, Rod. Andrew likes the outright. It's only 14. Like, I don't know. I feel like 14-1 wasn't good enough.
Listen. I don't like Joey at all for anything. Like I look at this
something wrong.
No, because
that's why I'm asking the chat for help here.
Well, but here's the thing: if you look back, I know that he won this in 2022.
I don't want to look. It doesn't matter. Don't look back, Rod. The even year gods are on his side. He didn't even make it to this round, and he's still in this round, Rod.
Oasis tells me not to look back in anger, but I think I'm going to look back in anger. So just
right,
choose Joy.
We'll leave it out there through the rest of the show. Yeah. If you give me a bet I like, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. Don't I like his hair, Rod? I love his hair. I wish I could have hair like Joey Logano, but I can't because the military makes me shove it or shave it off. So, all right, I'm going to, like I said, go back into my Kyle Busch argument. His top 3 numbers at plus 500. I know. That's fine. Look, this is why
I said no Jimmy Johnson, and he just goes to Kyle Busch instead.
Hey, I had to take one of the two, so I definitely took Kyle Busch. Look, I told you already all the stats that I wanted to back it up with, but I think 5-1 for Kyle Busch. Time is running out, right? And we both said that no Kyle Busch bets would be a good bet, but then the numbers came out, and I was like, you can't necessarily stop. A 5-1 for a top 3 for Kyle Busch is, I know he hasn't won this race, so this is why I'm not saying that he's going to win this race, but I will say that at the very least, right, this is a track where he should try to put something together. There's nothing else to lose. There's literally no other reason for him to be out there running around right now other than to win and finish well. Jake saying Busch is super live to win this race. I mean,
absolutely. Yes, yeah, he is.
Definitely bet him live.
I love Busch, but I'm tired of losing bets on him.
Well,
I was trying to stay off him this week so he would win, Rod.
Well, we did kind of talk about that which is why I'm not talking about Jimmy Johnson this week. So, but yeah, like I said, I mean, for Kyle Busch, the top 3 number was a very intriguing number to me. I wasn't going to do it either. I was going to stay far away. But when they dangled the 5-1 out there, it's almost too bad or too good to pass up. Because for Kyle Busch, time is running out for him to do anything good. So if you're going to do something, you're going to do it at home. Little home cooking for Kyle Busch. Maybe that'll light a fire under his ass, and he can get a good finish. So, and that should hopefully be a top 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an argument against it. It's his home track. Like, he's been fast. He's shown a lot of speed. Look, he was leading at Kansas in the closing laps before he got behind Chase Briscoe in the air. Like, he should be really good here. They've been getting trade secrets from JGR engineers. Like, maybe that's where they found the speed all of a sudden. I don't know, Rod, but I do like it. And I think at 5-1, it is a good number. And he doesn't have to win. Like, he can finish second to Larson if it's another Larson ass whooping here, or whatever the case is. So Andrew says Logano top Ford. It's only 2-1. He says it's dumb. I don't know that it's dumb, and I think that this actually leads into my next argument, Rod, which is the number of Fords in the top 10 at the end of the day here. I'm taking the under minus 2.5 plus 130. This is over on Caesars. You got to go into the speakeasy for it. But Rod, here is why I am taking that. If you go back to the last 6 races at Las Vegas in the spring, we did have 3 Fords finish in the top 10. It was Ryan Blaney, it was Joey Logano, and then it was Noah Gragson, which if Noah Gragson finishes in the top 10 again, well, guess what? We're covered because we already bet that. So sort of hedged a little bit there, right? The 5 previous races to that, never more than 2 cars inside of the top 10. Last fall, it was Brad Keselowski and Ryan Blaney. Spring of 23, it was Austin Cindric and Kevin Harvick. And don't forget, most of these races, Kevin Harvick was in these, still didn't get to 3. Fall of 22, it was only Chase Briscoe. Spring of 22, it was only Eric Almirola. The fall of 21 was Blaney and Harvick. 1 time in the last 6 races. I know it was the most recent one, but you go back and you look what's it been lately on comparable tracks, right? Kansas a couple weeks ago, Ryan Blaney. That's your one Ford inside of the top 10. Michigan, you had Keselowski and Buescher. That was it, only 2. Charlotte, you only had Brad and Josh Berry. Kansas in the spring, you had Buescher, McDowell, and once again, Noah Gragson. But again, we're covered there if he's the third one that sneaks in. Texas, another 1.5 miles. Brad and Briscoe. That, like, it's not been great for the Fords on this track type. And even in the Kansas race in the spring where it was like, that was the race, right? Where Buescher like suddenly bursts onto the scene. He gets really close behind Larson for the win. Like, but Ford has just not been strong, and they've not, even when one car is good, they're not having multiple cars be good. And so I love the under 2.5 being in the top 10, plus 130. We already bet on Gragson to be in the top 10. If you like a Gilliland, I know that Boji Joe kept bringing him up. I don't mind betting on that. Some other Fords out there, if you want to sort of hedge it for long shot top 10s that would cancel out bet if they land in there, I think that's fine. But I think that could be a strong case for Joey as well, because I don't expect Ford to be very strong this weekend. Maybe Joey, on the back of the even year racing gods, is the top Ford. So I think that's the winning bet so far, Rod. I'll let you know by the end of the show what officially the Joey bet is, but that's the leader in the clubhouse.
I do wish that Caesars was offering Joey to not win this race. That would be the one that I would take, because they are offering cars to not win.
I have heard it's cool to give out minus 6,000 lock bets.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, they added some finishing positions, Rod. These weren't out earlier.
Yeah, no. So they got Kyle Larson to win the race, plus 300, yes, minus 370, no. Tyler Reddick is plus 800 to win on Caesars, minus 1,200 not to. So, yeah, if they give out the Joey Logano one, I'm going to take the one not to, because even at minus 4,000, I'll take that one. All right. Speaking of winning cars and car numbers and cars under and cars around, I'm going to take the winning car number as even. I'm taking the even side of this because there's two reasons why. One, I'm going to give you an outright that is going to be an odd number, and Kyle Larson
odd is minus 7,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
that was the number I wanted, and I was like, oh, it's like minus 250 or something. That was rough.
Winning car number is not the winning part of odd. Is minus 145. I don't want to touch that at all. So give me the even side of it. Where do you get on even? Well, I mean, you
this
get
is the Logano bet, right?
This is the Logano bet. This is, I'm telling you. So you got this is it. You get Austin Cindric, right, which could accidentally win this race. You got Brad Keselowski, who has won this race before. You got Kyle Busch, who, like I said, could accidentally win. And if you didn't bet Kyle Busch, you're covered on this one. You get Noah Gragson, who we just talked about as well, trying to be in the top 10. You get Ryan Blaney, who's been good on this particular track. You get Chase Briscoe, who we haven't talked about, but I don't know. If somebody could accidentally jump up and win a race, it's Chase Briscoe. You get SVG, baby. Here we go. Say SVG. Somebody said to me earlier. So SVG, you get SVG in this one too. You get Christopher Bell, which Boji Joe's been hammering Bell over here for a while. You get Logano. This is the Logano bet, just like you said. You get Byron. You get Michael McDowell. You get John Hunter. You get Alex Bowman. Cody, you get Ty Gibbs. This is a Ty Gibbs bet. So there. Hopefully all of you guys can just now leave me alone. I'm giving you a Ty Gibbs bet. And Cody,
Ty Gibbs.
And Cody, you get Jimmy Johnson, number 84, in the even side of it, because Jimmy Johnson is going to win this race. Number 84 is going to park it in victory lane, and you're going to have the winning ticket because you bet the even at plus 115.
I knew he was going to find a way to sneak it in here. I just knew it was going to happen. There it is, friends. We made it an hour into the show before Jimmy Johnson. So there you go. All right, Rod. On to the outright portion. Look, Kyle Larson, plus 370, I think has been the best number I've seen for him. Neither of us are giving him out to win. I am not going to tell you not to bet Kyle Larson at this number. I actually was going to try and make the case and place the bet on Kyle Larson, Rod. Kyle Larson has been really fucking good at Las Vegas. And he's on fire right now. Like Cliff Daniels said it best, the only people that can beat them is themselves. And I believe that truly and fully. The problem is they do beat themselves a lot, and that's a bit of an issue. You look at Kansas, he doesn't win there. You look at Michigan, he doesn't win there. Like, he's not been winning these races lately. He did win here in the spring. I think he's won, 3 of the last 4 here. It's been something ridiculous. Yeah, 2 in a row. It's been good. We haven't had a repeat winner this season, and you would have thought last time Larson won. Where was Larson's last win at, Rod? Do you remember off the top of your head? because the next week we got a really low number on him. He won at Bristol, right? He killed everybody at Bristol. Then you go to Kansas and you're like, oh, he won at Vegas in the spring. He won at Kansas in the spring. He was so good. He was so fast. And then he doesn't win. And it's like, it's almost puzzling. And that's why I'm not betting on him, because like that was more of a case where he's coming off the Bristol, just butt whooping, kicked everybody's ass, greatest driver in the world. He won Kansas in the spring. He won Vegas in the spring. You're thinking he's going to lead every single lap, 7 overtimes, and win this race at Kansas, right? And then it doesn't happen. And so that's why I'm not betting on Larson at plus 370. I felt like that needed a conversation. Best driver in the world. You want to bet him. Not going to tell you that it's a bad bet, because I don't think that it is a bad bet. But Rod, when you're getting, we talked about this on the F1 gambling podcast earlier this week, when you're getting his teammate who's very similar in a very good car and can do it as well at twice the number in William Byron at plus 850, give it to me. William Byron plus 850. 10th in the spring here, led 15 laps. Not the greatest performance, right? 7th last fall. Spring of 2023, though, 176 laps. He gave his own Vegas ass whooping on his way to a win there. He's been top 3 in the last 3 races in a row, Rod. It's very quietly. You don't even think about that, right? William Byron has been a little bit hot here lately, very under the radar, very quietly. Top 3 in the last 3 races, 3 completely different track types, but he's been getting it done. Second at Kansas, he led 24 laps there. Second at Michigan, where he led 20 laps. That's the last 2 races we have at the most comparable tracks. Second place in both of those races. Third at Charlotte, where he led 49 laps. He has the 3rd best average speed ranking in the next-gen car at Las Vegas, according to iFantasy Race over there. Larson, Truex, the only 2 above him. So give me William Byron. All right, Boji Joe, you've been begging for him. Here he is. Christopher Bell, 10-1. I like this number, Rod. 33rd here in the spring. Just had a bad race. I don't remember what happened. Doesn't matter. Second here last fall. Led 61 laps. 5th last spring as well. Pretty good finishes there. Dominated Kansas a few weeks ago. Don't forget about that. Started on the pole. By the way, if you get Christopher Bell's pole to win the pole number, 2-1 or better, take it. He's going to start on the pole here. I'd be surprised if they give us that good of a number. If it's 2-1 or more, that will be my solo pole shot, will be Christopher Bell. He's really good at qualifying in these tracks. Led 122 laps. Kept fucking it up, though, Rod. End of stage 1, he fucked it up. End of stage 2, he fucked it up. Ends up 7th at the end of the day, but now it's crunch time. Christopher Bell has been potentially the most clutch driver over the last 2 seasons, navigating his way through the playoffs, finding cardboard on the track, whatever it is to get him moving on. At 10-1, gotta like this. He also won the 600 earlier this year. That's a mile and a half. 6th at Kansas in the spring. Fast car. I've already talked about his teammates in Gibbs, Truex. I think they're going to have good days. Haven't talked about Denny Hamlin, which I think is very notable, but just I don't know. Not feeling Hamlin this week. Christopher Bell, 10-1. And then Rod, this was the other spot I had considered Logano, right? 14-1, 15-1. Was maybe going to put him in, but you're giving me the guy who just won at Kansas a couple of weeks ago, Ross Chastain, at 20-1. What are we doing here? I mean, come on. You have to have something on Chastain. He just won. I don't care what the circumstances were. I don't care about Kyle Busch wrecking. I don't care about Christopher Bell fucking it up. He was in the right place at the right time, won that race. 20-1 a couple weeks later. How can you not be on him? 4th here in the spring, 5th last fall. Had a 12th place finish in there, but then in 2022, 2nd and 3rd in the 2 races here. Just won at Kansas, 8th at Charlotte a few weeks ago. That's a few weeks ago. That was in end of May, I guess. But it's not been that long ago right, as far as mile and a halfs go. I think at 20-1, you got to get in on Chastain. So Byron, 850, Bell, 10-1, Chastain, 20-1.
Yep, I love it. Again, I talked about Chastain earlier. I just that even money for a top 10 is too good to pass up. I know Boji Joe keeps telling us that Vegas likes Hamlin. Well, Vegas is the only one, and they're going to be in there, and we don't really like Hamlin this week. And it's not.
I was torn on Hamlin because, I mean, you sort of do like him, but like he didn't show up when you thought he would at Kansas a couple weeks ago, similar to the Tyler. It's kind of the same reasons I was off Tyler Reddick a little bit. And Denny's just not been running greatly. Like he's advanced to the next round, and here we are. But I don't know. I like Bell a lot more. I think the upside with Bell is better. I think Denny's probably going to hammer down and have a good race, right? But I know that he's going to be the car to beat, and I like the Byron and Bell numbers better, so that's why I went that direction.
Yeah, I'm not. If you find a Hamlin one that you like, it's a lot like Logano. Just go ahead and put it in because I'm not necessarily going to be on Hamlin much at all this weekend. But I will say that my outright already dropped by 10 points. As a matter of fact, I have Tyler Reddick as the outright at plus 900 on BetUS, but now I just looked and it's plus 890 on BetUS. So people have been betting him down already. I'm moving lines, guys. This is what happens. BetUS was like, nope, now we're going to put him at 890 as the outright because people are starting to bet on Reddick. But yeah, Tyler Reddick at plus 890. It'll say 900 on the official sheet.
You can get him at plus 950 on FanDuel, Ron.
Oh, I didn't even look at FanDuel. Well, there it is. Official bet changed to plus 950 over on FanDuel. Look, I already told you all of his heat rankings, all of his speed charts, all of his rocket fuel injections. Like Tyler Reddick's just going to have a good run on this race. And I think the other person that could give Kyle Larson a run for his money on this track is Tyler Reddick. So, this particular track he's been good at. And so now I think at plus 950, the thing is that the number is really what's driving this. And now that it's even better at plus 950, then I like it even more for Tyler Reddick to try to get this done. Again, he was a regular season champion. He was consistent. He managed to take it to everybody. He does not have a win on this track yet, but that runner-up finish in the spring made me really believe that he can charge this car through the rest of the field, especially starting 18th in that one. So, and like I said, I already read to you all of his other finishes on mile and a half, which has been great, and it backs up a little bit of what I think his potential is. So, this 45 car, they got to put it in there. I know that Michael Jordan was there last week putting pressure on him. I think he's going to be there every single week now putting pressure on him. So, give me Tyler Reddick plus 950 to win.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with Tyler Reddick outright ever, Rob.
No, because if he wins this week, then your futures ticket on him is going to look mighty much better.
Yes, it is.
So, all right, that will do it for the bets. Will it be hot in Vegas on Sunday, Rod? Boji, it's hot in Vegas every day.
Say, yeah, isn't it always hot?
There's no. I used to visit Vegas every year between when I was 8 and 18, and it didn't matter if it was the middle of summer or the middle of December. It was always hot in Las Vegas, except at night. At night, it dumped down to like negative 6,000 degrees, and you were freezing your ass off. But during the day, it's always hot, unless, of course, you're walking around the strip with a giant ass drink. Then, my friends, it's nice and cool. Get out your pen and paper. It is time to go over these bets for the South Point 400 from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And of course, if you are on YouTube, go ahead and check out the graphic and you can screenshot it. I did have time to put one up this week. So thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Whatever. Cody started you off with Corey LaJoy to win. Group G over on Caesars at plus 250 over Burton, SVG, and Nemechek. I gave you Kyle Busch to finish better than Martin Truex Jr. at minus 115. Cody said Truex would be a top 10 car at minus 125 and finishes the top Toyota at plus 550. He still can cash this, and you can still cash Busch if Busch finishes where I want him to in the race. Chastain, top 10 car for me at even money, plus 100 over on BetUS. Cody gave you Alex Bowman as a top 10 car at plus 140. Noah Gragson as a top 10 car at plus 450. And I gave you Tyler Reddick as a top 5 car at plus 160. Cody gave you Ty Gibbs as a top 5 car at 3-1. And then I guess we're taking Joey as the top Ford at plus 250. I know that's not on the sheet, but that's the official Joey bet.
That's the official bet.
Yeah, top Ford plus 250, or the one that I'm giving out in a little bit. I then give you Kyle Busch as a top 3 car at 5-1. Cody said the number of Fords in the top 10 would be under 2.5, plus 130. I said the winning car number would be even at plus 115. There's your Joey Logano bet as well. And then Cody gave you William Byron at plus 850, Christopher Bell at 10-1, Ross Chastain at 20-1 to win the race. I said Tyler Reddick plus 950 over on FanDuel would win the South Point 400 from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Whew, that's the Cup episode, man. This is, as we get down closer to the end of the season, every one of these becomes bittersweet.
It does, sadly, Rod. But like I mentioned before, we're working on that off-season schedule. We'll be here all off-season long, so don't worry. Don't have to go anywhere. All right, Rod, let's get out of here. Make sure you go back, check out the F1 Gambling Podcast. It's Rod and I. It's the same exact show. We just talk about F1 from NASCAR guy point of view. So if you like this show, you're going to like that as well. And if you've not bet on F1 or watched it before, go do it. It's a lot of fun. It's what's gotten us into F1 really is been betting on it. So it's a lot of fun. Make sure you check out that show as well. It's available in your NASCAR feed. If you want to watch on YouTube, it's available on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast YouTube as well. And yeah, that's it, Rod. We'll see you tomorrow. Xfinity Series is back. And yeah, tomorrow. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I got to unmute myself. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, Xfinity tomorrow, and then we'll do, obviously, our DFS episodes later on. We'll break them out. Or maybe we'll do it like we did last time. We'll do DFS for both and then Underdog for both. I think that was fun, too. So we'll figure it out. But you'll all have it in your feed where it always belongs. And, of course, while you're at it, make sure to give those shows some 5-star love because we love you, and we hope you love us back. And 5 stars is the way to show it. All right, Cody, let them know where to find you outside of the world.
Yeah, Rod, follow me over on the X at Husker_Z. You can find all my stuff there. That's what I was going to say earlier that I forgot to say.
That's all right. It's a Tuesday. We'll forgive everybody. Follow me on Twitter at Blues Clues. At RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's PBS, or whether it is, of course, the In-Between Media Sportsbook Review. It's all over there. So just check out the link in the bio. We'll be back tomorrow with Xfinity. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.